Hi everyone, it's Jules and welcome to Jules Reads. This is going to be my February 2024 book haul video. I have 11 books to show you guys and I am just going to jump into it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about these books, about what they're about. Maybe briefly talk about why I bought them, but I feel like the best place to find out what a book is about is to go to Goodreads or Amazon, someplace like that. But I am going to read the first sentence or two just for my own sake as well, so I can just get a feel for it. There's one book in here. I'm looking at the stack of books. There's one book in here that I have read before, but it was many, many years ago. And then one book I'm currently reading and I'm almost done with it. So let's just jump into it. I'm gonna have to wear my glasses, so I apologize about the glare. And the first book is this cute little mass market book, and it's called Dead in Dublin. And this is by Katie Murphy. I saw this in Barnes & Noble when I was, as one does, as a booktuber does, go to Barnes & Noble. I saw this on kind of a display of Irish things. There was an Irish journal, which I owned for a couple years. I already have it. And I saw this book and I'm like, it just looked like kind of like a cozy mystery. And I don't normally read a book. This is judging a book by its cover. I don't normally read a book that would look like this on its cover. But it's so cute and it sounds like a mystery. So let's read the first. Oh, there's a pronunciation guide. That helps. So chapter 1, Elizabeth Darr died at Molly Malone's feet. Molly, bronze, buxom, her fixed gaze, distant and serene, gave no notice to cries of concern that became screams of alarm, echoing off centuries-old stone walls. I think that looks like a good time. I've been kind of reading a couple books. I've been reading a couple books that are both dystopian-ish right now, so I wanted something kind of lighthearted and fun that I don't really have to think about, and that's maybe a little bit more uplifting. So one of those dystopian books that I'm currently reading is The Firemen by Joe Hill. I started this on audio, and when I got about halfway through, I'm like, I need to own this book. I'm loving it. And I just have about a quarter left in it. Not even a quarter. I think it's just a couple hours. I hope to finish it up today, but it's a big, huge, floppy book. How many pages is it? It's over 700 pages. But the chapters are really short if you would do this physically, but the audio is great as well. I do like that. But this is one I just started on audio and thought I need to own it because I love it so much. Joe Hill is Stephen King's son, if you don't know. And this book is kind of a nod to his father and to his book, The Stand. It is very similar to The Stand. There's even some similar characters. And some people are mad that they feel like he's ripping off his father. Do you not think he asked his father for permission? I think he might be okay with it. I think it's great. I think it's a great nod to his father. And I mean, how many adaptations of books and retellings are there? Love it. Loving it. Next book is The Mad Woman's Ball, and I'm kind of doing a collection where I forgot to read you the first sentence. I was looking at the viewfinder, I'm like, why do I have my glasses on? Oh yeah, I was supposed to read you the first sentence or two. Oh, I just saw someone complained that it also rips off Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling. So I didn't even notice this, but on this page it says Inspiration, J.K. Rowling, whose story showed me how to write this one. So calm down, people. Okay, April. She did not leave the school until an hour after the last child had gone home. But even so, let's just start over. She did not leave the school until an hour after the last child had gone home, but even so, she was departing early. Most school days, she was required to stay until 5 for the 50 or so children who hung around for extended hours while their parents worked. Today, everyone was gone by 3. How am I going to remember to read the first chapter? I don't know. So, back to this one. I've been collecting books about Paris or that take place in Paris and kind of historical fiction type books. I love Paris, and this one sounded interesting. It does have an adaptation movie. I'm not sure what streaming service it is on. and I believe this is about an asylum in Paris. So 3 March 1885, Louise, it is time. With one hand, Genevieve pulls back the blanket that hides the sleeping figure of the girl. Curled up in a fetal position on the narrow mattress, her mass of thick, dark hair covers the pillow and part of her face. Lips parted, Louise is snoring softly. So that is one I haven't started yet. The next one is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. And my husband informed me after I bought this that we already own a copy. But the copy we own is very old. It might even be a first edition. I'm not sure. This book was published, I want to say in the 1940s. And so I would prefer to read this type of copy anyway. But I would think most bookish people know this book. I didn't, but I don't consider myself a bookish person with the BookTube channel. Here we go. Okay. Serene was a word you could put to Brooklyn, New York. This is really hard to read. I should never do this. Especially in the summer of 1912. Somber as a word was better, but it did not apply to Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Prairie was lovely and Shenandoah had a beautiful sound, but you couldn't fit those words into Brooklyn. Serene was the only word for it, especially on a Saturday afternoon in summer. So that is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. The next two books I got at Half Price Books. I took in some books to sell and I got some dollars that I quickly spent on more books. So this one is Outlander by Diana Beown, and I'm sure most of you know the TV show. That is how I first discovered Outlander. I've never read the book. So this is Part 1, Inverness 1945, A New Beginning. It wasn't a very likely place for disappearances, at least at first glance. Mrs. Baird's was like 1,000 other Highland bed and breakfast establishments in 1945. Clean and quiet with fading floral wallpaper, gleaming floors, and a coin-operated hot water geyser in the lavatory. And then the other one I got at Half Price Books is Wicked by Gregory Maguire. And both of these books are in pretty good shape. And this one this is the one that I have read. I read it a really long time ago. And I want to reread it because of the movie that's coming out. And I love the illustrations in this. And when I read it and then saw the Broadway show, I didn't feel like the Broadway show was this book. And I'm not sure if it's supposed to be. But so now I want to reread it and see, kind of make that correlation, I guess you'd say. So, the root of evil. From the crumbled bed, the wife said, I think today's the day. Look how low I've gone. Today? That would be like you, perverse and inconvenient, said her husband, teasing her, standing at the doorway and looking outward, over the lake, the fields, the forested slopes beyond. He could just make out the chimneys of rush margins. Breakfast fires smoking. The worst possible moment for my ministry, naturally. This book I random cover buy at Barnes & Noble. Again, it was when I was looking for something fun, lighthearted, and I even looked on Goodreads and the reviews aren't that great, but you know what? I just want a good time. This is the girl who could move with her mind. And then I read the first sentence, or a couple sentences, in Barnes & Noble. I was like, is that poor grammar? I'm getting it. So it says Tegan. This is the poor grammar part. And you tell me if on second thoughts, so plural. Isn't it just singular on second thought? But this says, on second thoughts, throwing myself out the window of a skyscraper may not have been the best idea. Not because I was going to die or anything. I've totally got that under control. It wasn't smart because I had to bring Annie Cruz with me. And Annie, it turns out, is a screamer. I think that sounds fun. Okay. It's kind of like those, is it Frida McFadden books? It's not great writing, but they're a good time. So the next one is Beown by Fredrik Backman. Fredrik Backman is quickly becoming one of my favorite authors. I have already watched the TV show, so I do already know what this is about. This is not lighthearted. This is a very heavy book. And so I don't know when I will get to this. The time is not right now. Maybe in the spring or summer, but not, even though it's a wintry book, there's just a lot of hard things going on right now. So I will get to this later, but I did want to read it. He's becoming a favorite author. I love the show. And I know this will be, I know this is a really favorite book among readers as well. We have 3 more books to go. This one, I lied. I've read 2 books. I read this book. This is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I read this many years ago, probably like 5 years ago, but there's a new TV show coming out. And I forgot. I forgot to read the first sentence. Again, what am I going to do to remember this? Actually, the first page looks like this. So I'll just read that whole page. Late one evening toward the end of March, a teenager picked up a double-barreled shotgun, walked into the forest, put the gun to someone else's forehead, and pulled the trigger. This is the story of how we got there. See? Heavy. Okay, so Dark Matter. This one's going to be a TV show coming out, I want to say May. I don't know if it's a TV show or a movie, but so I want to reread it. I really like Blake Crouch. This is more of a, I don't know if I want to say sci-fi. It's a thriller, kind of a mystery, but his books are fantastic. So it says, I love Thursday nights. They have a feel to them that's outside of time. It's our tradition, just the 3 of us, family night. My son Charlie is sitting at the table, drawing on a sketch pad. He's almost 15. The kid grew 2 inches over the summer, and he's as tall as I am now. So I'm looking forward to rereading that one. And then the other one I got, there's 2 more, and both of them are graphic novels. I do really like graphic novels. I love art. So combining 2 of my favorite things, art and reading, is just feels magical to me. But this is an adaptation of Octavia Butler's Kendri. I do own that book. I have not read it yet. I did start watching the TV adaptation, which was really good, and then I decided I probably shouldn't finish it until I read the book. But I'll probably read the actual book first and then read this. But the artwork in here is stunning. So let's just read the first. It's heavy. It's a heavy book. Oh, it's little, small font. The trouble began long before June 9th. The trouble began long before June 9th, 1976. But June 9th is a day I remember, my 26th birthday. Kevin and I had not planned to do anything. We were both too tired for that. On the day before, we had moved from our apartment in Los Angeles to a house of our own a few miles away from Altadena. The moving was celebration enough for me. What's the matter? Nothing. Just struggling with my own perversity. Okay. So that is Kendri, the graphic novel. Who is the author? A graphic novel adaptation by Damian Duffy and John Jennings. And this next one is another graphic novel, and it is Lock and Key. The first edition has a really cool embossed cover. This is Joe Hill again, Stephen King's son, that I'm reading, The Firemen. I need to read more of Joe Hill. I have read Nosferatu, which I really liked. And this one is the first in the series. I'm not sure how many books are out so far. If it's complete, I'm not really sure. This has small writing as well. I might need to get a stronger cheater for these graphic novels. Mrs. Locke, Sam Lesser. Mr. Locke was, I'm not even gonna try and read it. It's so small. I can't. I'm gonna definitely need stronger glasses to put on. And better lighting. But that is the last one. So that is my haul for February. It is a lot. I try to get books though that on sale or You know, that's not really the truth. The only books I really got on sale were Wicked and Outlander. But I have a wide assortment here. I am excited to read these. And I do really like Supposedly Fun's revisits of Howells, where in a year I can revisit this and hold myself accountable to reading these books and making sure that I'm reading what I own. But yeah, I'm excited about these books. And what favorite book did you buy in February? I am curious. So thanks for watching and have a great day.